This is Trophy, the Scoundrel's Quarter, Part 23. We are in the middle of the Huntsman's Manor incursion, and the characters are all split up. Right now, Torum has just acquired this blue rose that is the property of um, Lady Peril. We don't know exactly what the how Torum is meant to deal with this at this point on, what Torum's meant to do with it. But in any case, you have it, Torum. You have a set goal there in the hedge maze, which is to find the heart of the maze. You have not actually done that yet, incidentally. So that's one other thing to be mindful of. If you want to keep exploring the hedge maze, you can certainly do that. Cassian, when we last saw you, you were in the south wing, no, north wing. You and Berwin are both in the north wing of the manor, but you are split up. Berwin is currently, or with the last thing we saw was Berwin slap fighting with a zombie type creature, and the last time we saw Cassian was in a really strange kind of like separate long corridor hall, at the end of which is a fabulously valuable painting that tried to take over his mind. And you were getting ready to lock arms with a stone hound that was sitting at the base of the chair in front of that painting. And Alina, you were in the south wing. And also, speaking of, the goal of the north wing was to find an exquisite treasure. That's accomplished. Alina, you also accomplished the goal in the south wing, which is to find the best trophy. You did do that. Now, you can all keep exploring these areas, but that's just the goal accomplished. Alina, when we last saw you, you had found a secret door that goes seemingly outside of the manor through a tightly woven corridor of tree branches and vines, leading you somewhere. So this is after you had acquired a relic. Are there any questions about the events of last time before we continue?
I have a quick question about, because it's been a while since I've played this. How do you reduce your ruin in this?
So it's an interesting question. You generally cannot, um, but if you, one of the lesser known rules, meaning for me, somewhat unknown for years, is that you can spend 3 hunt tokens to accomplish anything in the game, not just set goals. And so I would be, as long as the GM approves it, I would be open to all of you spending 3 hunt tokens to have your ruin lowered by 1. That's certainly something I'm open to. Alternatively, if you can come up with a good justification for how you might be healing, or
Yeah.
maybe someone's helping you heal, then you could also do like a risk roll to reduce your ruin. I'm open to that as well. As a general matter, though, you have to have a special, you have to have like a potion or an item, or you just don't. So, and you're at
Awesome.
5 ruin, yes.
I'm at
In
five
case,
ruin.
yes, just to that we buried the lead there a bit, but yes, you're at 5 ruin. Everyone else is doing okay on ruin. Um, so interesting things. Let's see how we go. I'll remind you all that you need to find treasures equal to your burdens before you can leave this adventure safely. We'll pick up with Torum in the hedge maze. Torum, you have this rose. Lady Peril has not made contact again, but presumably at some point you've got to return it to her. You, out of character, have this set goal of reaching the heart of the maze. In character, you might want to do that as well. Or you
I
can
do.
try to navigate your way out. Either way, you're navigating your way somewhere. So what do you do?
Yeah, I think awaiting further instruction from Lady Peril, Torum is kind of continue his previous plan of kind of following the maze to try and find the heart of it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, also aware that I've got some pretty significant burdens to meet. So
Indeed, you do. I think this is going to be a risk roll with, let's see, your first light die is probably coming from, well, I don't know. You have a lot of items, right, that can help you get that first light die?
yeah, I think between Lady Peril's ring, which helps me with illusions,
Mhm.
and my strategy of kind of just
Oh
sticking
yeah,
to one
yeah,
wall of the
yeah. I knew
maze.
it.
And
Yeah.
if it doesn't, if it's trying to trick me, I can maybe see through that with the ring.
I think the consequences
And
of
maybe
failure
that'll
here.
also.
Yeah, the consequences of failure here are pretty straightforward. I think you're just going to run into danger. Um, I, you have your first light die. Amanda, would you like to offer a devil's bargain? I will start though with devil's bargains by putting the scoundrel's quarter in danger. So,
I'll take that if nothing else.
mm.
Yeah, I think no matter what, you find something absolutely horrible at the heart of the maze.
Oh, well, that feels like a given, but you know.
Right, I was going to say that probably happens anyway.
I will make it
I'll put
even worse,
this.
though, if you want to choose that.
I think I'll put the
It's worse than that.
It's worse
Scoundrel's
than
quarter
that. Yeah.
up.
Make the ruin roll now. Let's see if the scoundrel's quarter ruin goes up.
Oh, yeah. 2.
It does indeed go up to 2. If somebody, whoever's
Mm.
tracking that, wants to note that for me, that'd be very helpful. And you've got 2 light dice. Go ahead and roll risk 2. 2 light.
A 5.
Fantastic. We'll come back to this moment. Be thinking about what the scene looks like, the navigation of it at least. Cassian, the stone hound leaps. How are you vulnerable?
I'm flesh. It is
Fair
stone.
enough. Yeah, fair enough. Roll your weak point. Let's see what we're working with here.
A 1.
Fantastic. And I need to take a real quick look. Very good. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this first combat round. It's a 9. Go ahead and roll combat 1.
A 3.
Give me the first round.
I think it actually rises and begins to react before Cassian can fold or roll up that painting and get it in his pack. So he is entirely unprepared. And so it's more a matter of dancing out of the way of it before he can attempt to fight back.
Berwyn, you've gotten a painting of your own and a quite valuable dagger sheath that was on the body. And there are dozens of these little interlocking small parlors. You're here to find treasure. What do you do?
Well, I mean, I've got the head here already. I figure this belonged to someone, and so I'm going to use my channel ritual to conjure the spirit of this adventurer and see what he knows and if he can guide me.
I like it very much. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. So I think this is going to be a risk roll. You're using a ritual. What is the ritual called? Channel, allow a spirit to act through you. Okay, that's really great. And yeah, it's great. Anybody have any thoughts on what could go wrong here?
The spirit won't want to leave.
That's, that seems, pretty possible. Oh, you're muted, Rob, if you're talking.
I was just saying I had a devil's bargain in mind. That's kind of along those lines. Save that.
Mm-hmm. I kind of like the comedy of you just like bring it back alive and you have to find it again.
I made him into it.
If there are no other consequences on the table, let's go ahead and talk about dice. You have rituals as a skill, so you can take your first light die there. Rob, what was that devil's bargain? Do you want to?
I was thinking that the spirit wants, no matter what, the spirit wants something in return for his services.
That's pretty good. I will also put the
Wants you
Scoundrel's
to help
Quarter in play as a devil's bargain here.
I would usually go with Scoundrel's Quarters, but I want to know what this guy wants. So yeah, let's go with Rob's bargain.
I'm curious if there are any other deals on the table. Any other devil's bargains?
The spirit is mad at you, and you will never know if it's telling the truth.
Oh, that's complex.
Yeah,
I
it is
like it.
complex.
Alternatively, this no matter what, the spirit is somebody that died that you know and you feel guilty about.
Oh,
Mm.
that's interesting.
Yes. I think I'm just gonna stick with Rob's.
So the thing, it wants something. That's good.
Yeah,
I like that. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and roll with 2 light, 1 dark.
6 light.
6 light. Very good. Be thinking about what your ritual looks like. We'll come back to you in a moment. Alina, you're in this passage made of a canopy or an arch corridor of branches and vines. It only goes in one direction. It only leads one place. There's still light from outside able to penetrate through. So you're kind of walking in this sort of like sun-dappled, corridor, or really like shafts of light piercing through periodically as you make your way through. What are you doing as you sort of make your way along?
I'm singing a song to the sisters
Oh, interesting.
so that they can hear me and continue to guide me.
Oh, I kind of like that. Um, Make a hunt roll. And you can, because of spirits, you can take it with 2 dice.
Awesome. Uh, oh man, it looked like a 6 for a moment, then it turned into a 4.
Take your token. For a time, you're walking, you're singing your song. You reach the end of this passage, and it seems to go nowhere. Just a dead end. Until you turn back around and realize that no, what looked like just a gap in the hedge is actually just a very, very narrow, tight side passage. Do you go down it?
Of course.
As you continue forward, you feel even more the presence of the sisters, even here in the heart of the wood. Because remember, the Marquess Niral's manor was like right smack in the middle of the Caldur, right? Because that's where the best hunting was. But even here in the lair of the old man of the woods, in the heart of the Caldur, where the light of the sisters is not known to frequently penetrate, you can feel the presence of the saints. And indeed, you come upon a saint in a little clearing. The saint is naked. She is lashed to a tree by thorny vines, holding her there. The thorns cut into her flesh. And even though we don't know how long she's been there, presumably a long time, there is still blood trickling from the wounds down the tree bark almost acting like guides for the blood down into the loam. And at the base of the tree are garments that look like they were once incredibly pristine and white, but now they are rent and dappled with blood. The saint hangs her head almost like no longer in pain, We're very far past pain. This is resignation. What do you do?
Well, obviously, I was brought here for a reason, and that reason was to help this saint, because that's just the sort of life goals that I have that have been given to me, the sort of destiny that I follow. So I am going to. I have my ritual knife, and I am going to use it to try and slice away the vines and the branches that are holding her.
I love it. This is definitely a risk roll. I would love to hear everyone's thoughts on what could go wrong here.
The saint is hung there for some purpose. There's something she's trying to achieve by undergoing this ordeal, and she will curse you for setting her free.
How many curses am I gonna end up with?
I'm going to say that you have to take her place.
Yeah, I was gonna say something similar. So
I was thinking that the vines are now part of the saint, and cutting into them will wound it.
Very interesting. Let's pick up dice here. The knife is your first light die, and everyone can make a devil's bargain. I will put the scoundrel's quarter in danger as one of the options.
I think that no matter what, the metal thorns that are in your hand will react to this and mutate your limb to some degree.
No matter what, this saint binding vine, it's going to dull your knife into uselessness.
That's my only
And
weapon.
no matter what, whatever purpose this was serving is undone, and there will be consequences for that.
Like it's a good thing that's happening and you're about to end it.
Right.
I will take Rob's. I want to see what this is gonna happen. I want to see the consequences.
Very interesting indeed. Very interesting indeed. I have a feeling this incursion is turning out to be very, very like campaign shifting and big world stuff going on. And I think we're going to keep going, except for Berwyn. I think we're going to keep going in this regard. Everyone's having an epic moment except Berwyn. This is really good. Too light. No dark yet.
Rolling it. That's a 5.
The complication is you are going to have to immediately, as in an immediate combat sort of way, deal with the negative consequences of cutting her down. If you want to add a dark die to avoid that, you can do so.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Just reminder, if that dark die comes up a 6, this is it for Alina.
Screwed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, okay.
But you failed.
Failed it, but wasn't a 6.
It wasn't a 6. So you did fail. We have a menu of possibilities of what could go wrong here. I think the tree or whatever's binding her here will immediately start to try to claim you and pull you onto it. If you don't want to have to deal with that, you need to add another dark die roll again.
All right, I'm gonna try it again, but
Too light, too dark.
oh, I don't want to look. All right, that's a 5 dark. I'm not going any further.
You're back you're back kind of back where you were. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's good. I like it. We'll come back to this moment. It's a good moment, but we'll come back to it. Let's keep going with Torum. Torum, you got a 5. Yeah, go ahead, just give me just kind of let's go back to the navigation of the maze. What's happening here?
Yeah, I think Torum is navigating as though this were a normal maze, but also using the ring because he's aware there is obviously trickery involved. And yeah, there are a few times where he almost gives a little grim smile to himself because the ring shows him something or allows him to be aware of something that would have led him astray. But his just patient, meticulous, rigorous approach to navigating eventually brings him through.
To a point. You reach what appears, you feel like you're getting closer. And it looks like the heart of the hedge maze is only going to be reached via a tunnel of brambles. Something of an echo of what's going on with Alina. But this tunnel of brambles is small, knotty, low. There is a thin sap dripping from the thorns. You are going to have to get down on your hands and knees and crawl through this bramble. And you're big too. So I think the bramble's even more dangerous to you because it's going to be cutting into you. It's going to be snagging. Do you press forward?
Oh, yeah, that's no impediment to Orum's determination.
I think that this is going to be a risk roll. Ben, what could go wrong?
I think. Oh, the hedge maze will grasp your horns and you will become a guardian of it.
This is a trap. I love it. Let's talk about dice. Do you have a skill or piece of equipment that will help you here?
Protection, as in I'm protecting myself from. It's I
It
can
feels
see
like a
you're not
stretch.
convinced.
Yeah, I'm not convinced. You're just crawling. You're just crawling.
I might even use a ritual to handle this situation.
Oh, really? Which ritual?
I have my yoke ritual. Apply the strength of a spectral bull to a situation
Oh,
to
interesting.
just force my way.
Okay, in that case, I think your transformation skill
Through.
comes into place. Or comes into play. I'll put the Scoundrel's Quarter in danger and as a devil's bargain, and Jack, you can make another offer.
Just sort of echo what happened the last time you used yoke. I think the cure, quote unquote, that kept you from becoming full beast continues to degrade, and you continue to take on an aspect of the bull physically.
Oh, that's too good to pass up. I'll absolutely take that.
2 light, 1 dark.
So I have to use a dark because it's a ritual as well, right?
Yes.
Oh, 2, yeah. 2 light, 1 dark. A 4 light.
4 light.
Can I add a dark die and reroll?
I'll tell you what the complication is first. The complication
Sure.
is that your leather gauntlets are going to get shredded.
I'm going to reroll.
Very well. Go ahead and roll with
6
6 dark. Very good. 2 light, 2 dark. 6 dark is your ruin does go up. I think the ruin is going up because of the cuts. I'm going to give you a condition to reflect that, which is basically like kind of weeping wounds from the thorns. but you otherwise get through using the power of yoke. Think about what this looks like, in particular the transformation, and in particular, well, yeah, like what does the ritual look like? How does that extra strength help you push through? And I'm in particularly interested in like how much you are becoming a little less cured of a beast smitten as well. Let's check in on.
I think.
Well, be thinking on it. We'll come back.
Yeah.
I want to check in on Cassian. Let's get some more combat going, Cassian. Give us round 2. Combat 2.
I would like to propose a tactic here.
Okay.
I'd like to leverage my mallet and iron spikes, which seem particularly useful fighting stone.
Very useful. In fact, you have discovered the thing's weakness with the use of the mallet, and that will reduce its endurance to 8.
So 2 is 5.
And 1 was your weak point, right? 4 and 1.
Yep.
So you're taking a hit as well. Give us the round.
I think it's as he's putting the painting in his bag that he notices the mallet and the spikes, and he realizes, oh, there's an idea, and he's desperately trying to free the mallet from his bag when I imagine it just barrels into him and kind of crushes him against the wall before he can react.
Go ahead and do the 3rd round.
10.
Nice.
No hits.
And no hits. Go ahead and describe how you destroy the thing.
As it snarls? Does it grinds like rock?
Yeah, we said that its vocalizations are like grinding gravel. Yeah.
He manages to line up the spike right on its forehead, brings that mallet up, and then slams it down, and the head just cracks in 2 and it falls.
Nice. Make an 8 gold roll before we forget.
Two.
Nice. We'll talk about I'll just tell you what you find now. As this thing kind of like, it kind of crumbles apart enough or cracks open enough for you to see that in the heart of it, there is a large gemstone that is, I guess, where the power of it is focalized or is focused, or how it's brought to life. But in any case, it's worth 2 gold. Let's continue, Berwyn. So Berwyn, you are going to channel the spirit here. It was going to want something from you. What does this look like? Give us a scene.
So I see Berwyn in this large parlor with just the headless corpse, and he's holding the skull of it in his lap, and he starts to intone the words. And as they pick up, he throws his head back, his eyes go white, and we see like this ethereal spiritual energy escape his mouth and his eyes, and they float into the eyes and the mouth of the skull. And finally, he snaps out of the trance, and he's holding the skull with whose mouth and eyes are both glowing, this white, milky white color. And he goes, "Oh, well, there you are. Sorry about that." And he just kind of gently taps the place where he crushed his skull in.
Nice. And this is the skull of the thing you just destroyed?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like separated from the body. Did you like pull it off or something? Okay, got it. We had described last time that its feet were starting to fuse into hooves, and I think you'll notice now as well that the skull has like a couple of little nubbins where the early growth of horn was beginning. And there's a moment where it only communicates with bleats still, where it just sort of like, it just kind of bleats at you, but like it bleats like it only knows conceptually what a goat bleating sounds like. So it's just sort of like bah, bah,
Stop
bah, bah,
Come
bah,
now.
bah.
Don't you remember the common tongue?
Ah, ah, Ah,
My name is Berwin.
Bowen.
Your name is.
Ah. And it starts to kind of chatter a little bit. And I need a name. Let me go find a name real quick. Doo-doo-doo. Ah, ah, I am called Nevin.
Very good to meet you, Nevin. How are you feeling?
Somewhat detached from the situation, I'd say.
He looks over at his corpse. Well, it's for the best, really. You had hopes, or beginning to. What was that all about, anyway?
And after it calms down, it begins to speak in kind of a somewhat hushed conspiratorial tone. It says, "The Lord of the Manor knows many magics.
Is it this Marquise?
The Marquess Niral wished to hunt me, but wanted me to be in a more suitable form for hunting."
Oh, how did you end up here?
I ran. I hid. It turns out the Marquess and his hunting pack are easily distracted. I sat down to rest, to figure out my next move. And that's the last thing I remember.
Well, if it's any consolation, you're here with me now, and, well, I'm with a hardy group of adventurers, and, well, if you come with me and perhaps lead me to them, out of this place safely, well, I can put your soul to rest wherever you like outside of this dreaded manor, and say we have a deal.
This is no ghost story told by the light of a fire. There is no moral at the end of this story. Nor do I require being laid to rest. I want only one thing. I want only revenge.
Upon whom?
There is a reveler in the feast hall. A reveler, the only one with red hair. I would have you put a dagger in his back. Or better yet, in his throat. Or better yet, used to cut out his lying tongue. Or better yet, you get the picture.
It's a very vivid picture. Unfortunately, I don't have a dagger, but I can make a deal with you if you somehow manage to reconnect me with my compatriots. Well, they have daggers, and they would surely lend it to me to cut out this reveler's tongue, slice their scalp off, whatever you'd like. Maybe chop off a few fingers.
Yes, I like the sound of all of that.
Yes, it's very gruesome.
What would you have of me?
Well, I suppose I could just carry you around, and, well, you know this place more than I do. This is my first time, after all. Now help me navigate. Reunite me with my friends, and, well, I will see that vengeance is yours.
I love it. So you're going to be holding the skull up, using it like a navigational
Kind of a lantern,
aid. Yeah,
yeah,
a lantern
like
thing. Yeah. Tell me where to
my
go.
GPS, yeah.
I like it. You can make a 2-die hunt roll.
3.
3. You encounter something terrible. We'll come to this in a moment. We're going to pick up with Alina in a bit. I want to take a quick 5-minute break. We're back from break, and as we get ready to pick up, I just want to remind you all about roaming lines and veils and the safety tools that are available, because I think things are about to get pretty bleak. Alina, you are using this. What is the weapon again? It's like a sacred weapon?
It's a ritual knife. It's in my weapon,
Yeah.
my regular weapons, yeah.
You're using it to cut down this saint whose body is lashed to a tree by these vines, the blood draining down through the tree bark into the ground. Cutting her down is no trouble. As she sort of slumps to the ground, and presumably you catch her, her head rolls back to look up at you, almost like the Pietà, right? Like you're holding her, and and she says, "Oh, what have you done? What have you done?"
My name is Alina, and I've saved you, sister. I've saved you, my saint.
You have saved nothing. You have condemned. That is all you have done.
No, you misunderstand. You see, I was led into the forest and by the other sisters, and I found you. I've pulled you down from the tree in the Caldor. You're safe now.
I gave my blood willingly as retribution. I gave my blood to feed that which would be satisfied.
I think you're confused. You see, the other sisters sent me here, brought me here to find you.
I did terrible things. I did evil things. But you must understand, I had no choice. It was a different time. It was a different time. I don't even know how many centuries ago, only that then we spoke of seeing with occluded eyes. It was a bleak state, and I did whatever I could to alleviate suffering. I did what had to be done so that the innocent did not suffer.
Are you not Saint Vita, the sister, the saint of agony, of healing? I've brought you down. You can heal the world now.
I was called Evelyn in my day. You now call me Evelyn the White. But this is a misnomer. For my soul is not pure and white. It is awash in blood.
Evelyn? But aren't you the patron of health practitioners, of doctors, of healing?
Oh, how little you understand in this age.
No, I know all of the stories. I know all of the songs. I know all of the verses. I assure you, I am a fantastic student.
Doctors and nurses ease the suffering. Yes, it's true. And I suppose in that sense, it was appropriate that I would be their symbol. But in my day, I eased suffering in a different way. And at this point, you start to hear noises from all around. Choking, bleating cries. and you start to see half-formed fetal creatures, small children, babies crawling, all of them crawling, creatures rising up out of the loam, blood taking form. They all crawl towards each other, forming into a single cluster, a clump, bleating. Without my blood to satisfy the little ones, they will start to rise up. They will start to take out their anger. I will take out their anger on you and yours. I thought I was doing the right thing. I didn't want them to suffer war and famine. And this coagulation of prepubescent bloody anger is roiling toward you, Alina. Please tell me how you are vulnerable and roll weak point.
I am alone in the middle of the woods, and I'm starting to think that maybe the sisters didn't lead me here, but that's probably not right.
So, what's your weak point?
It is a 1.
A 1. Okay, well, that's not the end of the world as far as weak points go. Regrettably, this thing is an endurance 9. Do go ahead and give me the first combat round.
That is a 6.
What happens in the beginning?
I'm still holding the curved ritual knife that I used to cut this person down from the tree. And I think I've caught her, I'm holding her in my dominant arm, and my less dominant arm, I'm just sort of pointing the knife towards this mass of limbs and blood as it rocks towards me. And I think I'm just sort of slashing ineffectively in the air to try and keep it from coming close.
Torum, please describe your using the yoke ritual to get through this tight, narrow, thorn-covered tunnel.
Yeah, we see Torum get down onto all fours to try and crawl through this tangle of brambles where there's a hint of a passageway through, and he's kind of in as far as his waist when the protrusions on his armor, the horns on his head, the buckles and straps on his equipment are just getting tangled up. And for the first time since navigating this maze, he starts to lose his temper, and his face gets redder, and eventually he takes a deep breath and lets out a huge blast of air through his nose, and then just puts his head down, and one foot kind of giving a kick, shoves himself forward with a huge, mighty effort.
I love it. You fall into the center of the maze. Set goal met. The center of the maze is an open circular area the size of a large room, with grass all around the outside of it. The center, though, is a pool and fountain. The water within is unmoving and green with muck. Atop the fountain is a platform with a larger-than-life topiary of a sleeping wolf. The topiary wolf opens its eyes and moves its head toward you. It sounds like the rustling of wind through a bush because it's a topiary. As it moves its head and it shifts slightly. What do you do?
I give it another great exhalation through my nose as I look around this place, and my gaze settles on this wolf, and I think I just ready myself to wait and see what it will do.
It wrenches itself. It uproots itself from where it was at, situated in the center of this round fountain. Clumps of dirt spraying as the root system tears out. It leaps at you, growling, with growls that sound like rough bark rubbing against itself. Tell me how you're vulnerable and roll your weak point.
I think I'm vulnerable because I've allowed my bestial emotions to get the better of me, and I'm not my normal patient and considered self. I'm almost welcoming this fight.
Roll weak point. 3. And let's have the first combat round. It's an endurance 10.
Or I think
Go ahead and narrate it.
as it pulls itself down from its pedestal and limbers up to charge, I kind of plant my feet ready to receive it, and there's a ghost of a smile across Torm's face as he thinks of the kind of joy of battle and testing himself against a foe like this, and it charges toward me, and I sidestep just at the last moment, and it charges past, and I ready myself to counterattack, drawing my sword.
I love it. Cassian, you can hear Berwyn, because I don't think Berwyn does a very good job of like disguising his voice. You can hear Berwyn talking to someone, negotiating with someone as they're opening up doors and moving around in the North Wing. What do you do?
I'm going to go after him. Go towards the voice.
Berwyn, what did you roll in that hunt roll? Was it 3 or something?
Yes, it
Yeah, okay.
was. It was something terrible. Yeah, 3.
Cassian will find the two of you staring at an art object on the wall. The art object is, well, it's a taxidermied hound with its belly open and exposed, containing a mangled taxidermied cat. The cat itself has its belly open, exposing a mangled taxidermied rat. The taxidermied rat has its belly open, and inside of which there is a beautifully rendered in wood piece of cheese. The skull says, "Well, what do you think of that?"
I don't think much of it. It's grisly. It's grotesque. The cheese is very nicely crafted, though.
Cassian, you can enter the scene if you wish.
Yeah, I think he'll just kind of step up next to them and he'll just still looking at the taxidermy thing and he'll just say, "What are you doing?"
Mr. Cassian, I'm so sorry. Ah, startled me. How are you getting on?
Fine enough. What is that? No, he'll point at the head.
Oh, Nevin, this is Mr. Cassian. Cassian, this is Nevin.
Nevin says
Why?
nothing. He says nothing.
Berwin, I heard you several doors down. You're going to get yourself caught.
Caught? By whom?
The people that we decided to avoid by not going upstairs.
Oh, yes, I forgot about them. Sorry, I got lost in I got lost in the thrill of it all, the maze. Well, you are more seasoned than I am, and I shall stick with you, and I will keep my volume to a sensible pitch.
Whatever you think that is, go lower.
Sure.
Are you bringing Nevin?
Well, that was the plan, yes.
Okay. And I think
Nevin, say something.
Nevin says nothing.
Well, he was talkative earlier, and bleating as well. You see those nubs here? What do you make of them? He had hooves. I suspect he might be some sort of satyr,
or a beast bitten.
perhaps.
I think
Did you find
Cassian would
anything?
like to take that cheese.
I'm sorry, what was that again, Ben?
Cassian would like to take the
Oh.
carved cheese.
Oh, just the cheese, not the whole.
Just the cheese,
the whole
yeah.
art object. Okay, the cheese is not worth anything on its own, but you can certainly take it.
Did you find anything, Mr. Cassian?
Just trouble. I took care of it. Watch out for stone dogs.
Duly noted. Would you say that your painting is big enough that it would be sticking out of your pack, or is it like tucked away?
I think it would be. It's pretty big.
Yep.
I don't remember like
sticking
how
out.
we had dimensions on it. It was like
Yeah, it was like 36 by 36, I think it was.
Yeah,
or something
36
like that.
square. Yeah. So
Well, this doesn't look like trouble. And he points to the canvas that's sticking out of your bag.
Just more art.
Oh, I found some art as well. This lovely piece. And he pulls it out of his pack and just sort of unfurls it. And you see two naked men with daggers fighting each other.
Yes. Okay. Let's keep going. We should find the others, or at least Torum.
I will.
meanwhile,
You are more seasoned than I, so I will let you take the lead.
at least Tor was on that low key shade on Alina. Alina, round 2 of the combat.
That's 5.
And what was
Neither
your
were my weak point.
Oh,
My weak
okay.
point was 1.
Keep it going. What does it look like?
Yeah. I think it's more of the same. This thing, this hulking, roiling, fleshy, bloody thing as it
Baby Gestalt.
yeah, as it sort of moves towards it's large. It's not graceful because it has so many pieces of limbs and arms and feet, and babies aren't really known for grace anyway. So I think that it starts to roll towards us and sort of form itself around us almost like a semicircle to try and trap us in. And I think I throw down my knife and I pick up this large spear that I have had, that spear of thorns, and I can still feel it digging into my hands and digging into the where all the metal shards are already in my skin. I just sort of start. I mean, this thing is really heavy. This spear. It's not meant for somebody my size to wield. But I think I just start poking at this monstrosity in order to hope that it'll back off.
Yeah, I love it. You can take another combat round. So this is a magical weapon, the barbed spear. It could only be used effectively by a large, strong person. That's the basic trouble there. That said, you can still wield it in combat, and it will, for now, it's going to give you an extra die on the round. So
Okay,
instead
so
of a
4.
round, instead of 3, it'll be 4. Yeah.
Okay. And that is a 9.
That is a 9, and that is enough. And you didn't hit your weak point either, did you?
Nope.
Go ahead and describe how you destroy it finally.
I think very clumsily I'm poking this spear as it slides in through the growth and the blood and the flesh of this monster. And it slides out, it comes out green and sticky and sappy because the spear of thorns, the wounds, create growths. And we see as the spear goes in and out, punching through the flesh of this thing, bits of branches, of leaves, of grass start poking out of all of the different wounds, of all of the different holes. And the being starts to curl in on itself as if it's hollow now on the inside, and it's just sort of filling itself in, trying to fill in all the empty bits as the pieces of plants and growth start to overtake, come out through the holes and start to overtake the mass of babies.
It's like
And
it's like
grows
hell
over.
Okami. I love it. Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
good. Fantastic.
Gross.
Go ahead and roll gold 9.
1.
Think about what you might find in this slurry of branch and blood that would be valuable, and you can add it to your thing. Also, we're racking up the monsters on whoever's keeping track of the bestiary. So, whoever's doing it, we got to make some entries. Let's keep going. Let's cut over to Torum. Torum, you're fighting the topiary wolf. Your weak point is 3. Go ahead and do a combat round 2.
Oh, that's not so good. That's 2 3s.
2 3s. That's 2 hits, and you did not win either. Please give us the round. What does it look like?
I think, yeah, Torum rounds on this thing as it passes him, draws his sword, but it doesn't move like a wolf moves. There's the rustling of wind through the leaves of it, and it suddenly is on the other side of him where he wasn't expecting it, and it throws him to the ground and is on top of him, about to kind of bite at his face with its thorn teeth. And I think his helmet takes the brunt of those jaws closing around his face.
Fantastic. Go ahead and do the next round as well. Combat 3.
That's a 6 total, but no weak points.
Okay. Keep
So,
narrating.
I think there's just a desperate scuffle. Torum loses his grip on his sword, and the two of them go kind of rolling over and over in the grassy clearing. But eventually he manages to throw it off, scrambles back, gets hold of his sword again, and just as it's rounding on him for another pounce, shall I do a combat 4?
Yes, go ahead.
There we go. 11 with no weak points.
No weak points either. Go ahead and finish it off.
Yeah, I think as it pounces toward him, Torin just swings his huge long sword two-handed, and the blade finds the kind of trunk at the center of this topiary creature that, you know, the entire thing is sculpted around, and just severs it clean in two, and the two halves fall lifeless to the ground with just a rustle of dry leaves.
Fantastic. Make a gold 10 roll. See if you get anything valuable here.
Nothing.
Nothing. Oh.
But I do have 2 hunt tokens, which I would just get some gold.
So you're gonna spend hunt tokens
treasures. Here? Yes. I have
Okay.
2 though.
You might find things in the fountain. We'll come back to this in a moment.
Right.
I want to pick up with Cassian and Berwyn. So Cassian and Berwyn, we've talked about how this wing has a bunch of like interlocking little parlors that you have to kind of navigate through. And you're going, sound like you were making your way back to the main central junction of the manor. And in the direction you're going, you walk up to a door that must go into the next parlor. And on the other side of the door, you hear snapping, snarling, howling, yipping. It's a feral sound. It sounds like it's probably 6 wolves or wolf things. And it sounds violent and ecstatic. What do you do?
Well, Mr. Cassian, I don't mean to
Cassian's gonna cover Bourbon's mouth and just start trying to drag him past the door.
Nevin says quietly, "Remember what you promised."
He peels off a couple of Cassian's fingers and goes, I meant to say I didn't intend to go over your authority as an expert in survival and tracking and all that, but I do need to make my way to a particular spot of the house. I did promise Nevin here something in order for a safe exit.
Berwyn, remind me, are wolves known for having poor hearing?
I'm not being quiet enough.
The snarling and growling and howling becomes intermingled with occasional bursts of laughter.
I'm no nature expert, but I'm not entirely sure that those are wolves.
Let's hope that they are. Where does your head need us to go?
Remind me, Jason, where does it need me to go?
It just wants you to find the hunter with red hair and kill them.
Well, they didn't really specify what part of the manor. They just said, and perhaps you saw something that might allude to its location. There is a particular hunter here with red hair that needs to be slain. And well, I'm the one to slay it.
Good luck. And he's going to start walking down the hall.
Oh, wait, no. You wouldn't want to leave me alone here. I mean, I'm not alone, but you know, with more legs and arms and body. 2 are much stronger than 1.5.
I'm not interested in a dead person's vendetta.
No, but Nevin can help us. You see, he was here for centuries, possibly. He knows the layout of this place, so he can presumably help us find this treasure that we're seeking out. And well, it would be much easier to have help, wouldn't it?
Does it know where the bestiary is?
Nevin. He puts Nevin in front of his face. There's a bestiary here. Do you know where it is?
The skull, it might just be from gravity falling forward in your hand, but it does look like it's nodding yes.
You see? And Berwin is unconsciously making the skull nod yes.
We're all going to die. Lead the way. And we will kill your hunter.
You hear that, Nevin? You have allies. Now, lead the way. And he just sticks the skull out, sort of like as like a like a dowsing rod or something.
Do you go through that door on the other side of which there's a mixture of howling, snarling, and laughing?
Is there other doors that we can go through?
Sure.
Or is there like a door that like Nevin is sort of gravitating towards?
I don't know if you have that much information. It's
Okay.
just do you or don't you?
All right. Then yeah, I would personally advise going through a different door. But if you want to go through a door with wolves or hyenas, I'm down.
No, I think different doors good.
Yeah, let's go.
As you take a different route, you go out into a little hallway where there is another entrance to that room, and you see a man, bare-chested, kind of got a bottle of wine in one hand, bare-chested, no boots, walking down the hall, kind of like, and he looks up at you, and he gives you a little nod, like a cheers, and he goes inside that room.
Let's keep going.
What color was his hair?
It was hard to say in the light.
Okay. Interesting.
Dark,
What do you
but could have been a dark red, for sure.
what do you make of that, Mr. Cassian?
That's one more person that I'd like to know we're here, who knows we're here.
Wait, you don't want them to know we're here, or you do want them to know we're here?
Keep going, Berwin.
Oh, fine. And he'll keep going on.
Where are you headed, Berwin?
I think he's just sort of like checking doors, see what's locked, unlocked, and just sort of opening things as much as he can with,
Make the hunt roll.
first listening.
Yeah, make the hunt roll. You can use the head for justification for 2 dice again.
5.
Take your token, but you encounter something terrible. Give me just a moment. You're opening doors, you're checking doors, and when you open a door, you feel a sting in your palm as you turn the knob. Looking closer, you see that the fangs in the ornate wolf head knob have extended as you've turned it and have stuck into your palm.
Oh, oh, that one's got bite. Uh, and he kind of like wraps part of his cloak over his hand to try and turn the knob again.
Cassian would just do it with his wooden hand.
Indeed. And you can go inside. Eventually, you will be able to navigate your way back to the central hall. I want to check in with Alina. Alina, what did you find of value inside this blood baby
There
construct?
is, I think it's pushed out by the pressing of the plant growth. And it is a small crystal baby rattle. And when it rattles, the bell inside is a sharp, very sweet ring that sounds almost perfect.
I love it. Put that in your found equipment. What do you do with Saint Evelyn?
Well, clearly she's not a saint. She created this monster. Saints don't do that. I think I'm gonna look down at her, and I'm standing up now, having poked this thing to death. Well, I believe I may have made a mistake in rescuing you. You see, I thought I was rescuing a saint, a sister, and you're just, well, some kind of monster.
I have taken no titles for myself. I am only called what others call me. But you
Well,
are right. My behavior is not saintly behavior.
exactly. And I, well, I'm not quite feeling myself, and I think that maybe I was led to you for a different reason. Perhaps I was led to you by Saint Vita herself in order to heal myself, in order to make myself feel a little better, more like myself, more prepared for my dedication to this cause.
Be quiet, you silly woman, and listen to me. I killed thousands upon thousands during the age of occlusion. Poor people, children with no parents or homes, babies in and out of the womb. I did so because I thought that death was preferable to the bleak times in which they lived. But I realize now that I may have been wrong, and I have spent centuries keeping the ghosts of that time at bay with my blood, but that is no longer possible because of your actions. And now the angry dead will be rising all over the land in order to reclaim that little bit which was taken from them.
Or, and I'm going to take the spear and stab it through her so that it goes straight through her and sticks her back to the tree.
Oh, if you give up the spear, that will work.
I also would like to say a prayer to Saint Vita because according to Trophy Loom, Saint Vita is the patron saint of those who try to heal, whether successful or not. And you can pay tribute to her by taking the impossibly sharp knife found at her shrines and cutting yourself with it. Well, I'm not going to use my blood, obviously, but this blood, I want to trade some of my hunt tokens in order to get my ruin down a little.
Oh, I'll let you do that. And I will also let you automatically solve this St. Evelyn problem if you use
Yeah.
the Spear of Thorns to bind her back to the tree.
Yeah, I think what happens is I shove this, and I shove this incredibly sharp spear through her, and because it does cause these growths, the growths start immediately
Mm,
coming out of her back and wrapping
mm.
around the tree, and the tree itself starts running towards the spear, and they sort of form together in a mass of vines and twigs and leaves, sticking her to the tree, once again unable to free herself.
I love it. As you leave, she says, "You may not realize it, but you are a hero of the realm."
I'm going to turn back, look at her, cock my head. I know I am. And then I'm just going to walk away.
Fantastic. Let's check in with Torum. Torum? You're getting some treasures. You're spending 2 hunt tokens to find treasures. I think these are going to be found inside the fountain. I'll tell you what you find here. Give me just a moment. The first is... you find a collection of brass bangles. Altogether, the brass bangles are worth 1 gold. You also find a well-made dagger set with tourmaline, which is also worth 1 gold. Torum,
Hey, and mhm.
are you going to navigate out of the maze now?
I think first I want to see if there's anything more to be discovered here.
What do you do?
I came in through one opening in the hedge. Are there any others?
Yeah, I like that. Go make a hunt roll. Let's see how it goes.
Let's see what I have. Vigilance for watching out for things, or transformation maybe in terms of I'm kind of watching for any shifting in the maze itself, or again I'll just lean on Lady Peril's ring to...
I think we'll just go with
the
Lady Peril's
polished hand
ring.
mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah, the polished hand mirror that can show me things not seen by the eye.
I think that's better. Roll two dice.
6 light.
Oh, 6 light. Take your token. You're looking around, and your mirror catches the image of a wolf of paws trotting into the center of the maze with you. But when you look up, you see a man, rugged and handsome, wearing a sort of loose, undone shirt, slightly untucked from his leather pants, tall boots and gloves. His hair is tied into a ponytail. He says, I haven't been here in a very long time. Looks like I'm going to have a new hedge animal put in.
Curious that we should both come to the center of the maze at the same time. Or have you been following me, sir?
No, I know the way to the center very well.
Are you the master of this place?
I am indeed. I belong here. You do not. Can you tell me why you're here in the center of my hedge maze, ripping up the hedge?
The hedge was your guardian.
Yes, it is an unfortunate side effect of being in the Caldur that the plants sometimes take on a life of their own.
So it was not of your doing then.
It would be very easy and understandable to want to put things down to ritual madness, wickedness, whatever other sorts of arcane terrors you can imagine the master of the house gets up to. But I assure you, all I want, all I have ever wanted, is to hunt and kill.
What is it that you hunt now?
He smiles, a wolfish grin, and says, "Come, join me. I have to return to my party."
Very well.
What signs of your reversing or your beast-bitten nature are appearing right now, Dorum? Besides the horns.
Yeah, the horns are already there, and I think it's the way he breathes. In particular, he almost accents his speech with a snorting through his nose, especially if he's exerting himself or angry or as a warning.
He says, "Join me. We're having a feast."
I do find myself hungry after my exertions.
I imagine you have to eat quite a lot to keep up your energy levels. They make them big wherever you come from, eh?
Then lead the way, sir.
And he kind of he's a little drunk, you can tell. Kind of like, but still nimbly and ably knows the way back out of the maze. Let's take a 5-minute break.
I'm in.
We're back. Cassian and Berwyn, you're in the main entry hall. You can hear the sounds of revelry coming from up the stairs. Nevin falls out of your hand or is dropped by accident and rolls toward the base of the stairway.
Evan, come back. And I'll scurry after him. But I'm wondering, as I'm scurrying after him, I would like to use my 3 hunt tokens to achieve the goal of finding this red-haired hunter.
Oh, I like that very much. I'll give it to you. Indeed, you see said hunter coming out of a pair of grand double doors at the top of the stairs, dressed in finery, like velvet and satin, and his very vivid red hair tied with a ribbon, and he's sort of comes down the stairs. He's a little drunk as well, and he's wearing kind of shoes with a bit of a heel, so he's having a hard time kind of navigating the stairs in his drunken state. But he sees you and says, he says, did you see Harold come through here?
Harold, no, I didn't see him.
Yes, we saw Harold. He went this way. Come with us.
He's like, oh, good. Which way?
This way, down the hall.
Oh, okay. And he kind of stumbles down the hall. What do you doing, Berwin?
He's a little bit slow to pick up on what Cassian is doing, but when he realizes, it's like, oh yes, and he like looks at Nevin excitedly, and he'll follow behind, sort of like flanking this man in between him and Cassian.
And this man looks at both of you and says, "So who are you? I don't think we've met."
Well, no. We're just revelers. But Harold's this way. We should just keep going. Yes.
Right. Good.
I think we should go to the room where I killed the stone dog, Craghound.
Oh. Funny thing about that room, you can't find it again.
Next best option, Berwin?
He says, "You've been wandering around a bit now," and he says, Where is Harold?"
Berwin just looks at a random door and says, I think he's in here, and opens the door.
He says, "There's no one in here."
No, there is. Don't you see? He's Harold, and starts to kind of like try and shove him in.
And this might be helpful to remind the viewers here that you also have red hair, Berwin. And he says, "You look a little bit like me. It's like looking in a mirror. If the mirror was a mirror that showed you a slightly uglier version of yourself."
He pauses at that, and then thinking that this might be some ruse by Nevin to get himself eliminated, he looks at Nevin and says, "Is this the hunter you spoke of, or are you talking about me?"
"Who are you talking to?"
I'm talking to Nevin.
This guy just slumps down in the chair. He says, "You're not completely ugly."
He turns Nevin towards this man and says, "Do you know this man?"
Nevin's lower jaw just falls open.
I think that's a yes.
Cassian will do a after you motion.
Do you happen to have a dagger on you? I only have a
The
crossbow.
man says, "I've got one."
Oh, thank you.
Hands it to you.
Wonderful. And I'm going to stab him with it.
You stab him. He snaps his eyes open, which are suddenly like very yellow. And he snarls. And then he just kind of slumps over like he's falling asleep.
See, Nevin, I've done what you asked.
There's no reply from Nevin.
Yeah. I think Nevin's satisfied. And he'll just tuck it into his bag. Shall we continue?
We killed that man to find out where the bestiary is.
Oh, that's right. He'll pull Nevin out of his bag. All right. There was a book, a bestiary. You was to tell us where it was, or at least provide help in finding it.
When you
I've
pull
done what you've
Nevin
asked.
out, he's not facing the way that he was when you put him in the sack. He's facing towards a particular door.
Berwin angles himself towards the door and with Nevin in hand. Interesting. Mr. Cassian, would you mind checking that door?
He'll go and use his wooden hand to turn the knob.
Alina, you're back out into the Caldur room. There were other galleries as well, or you can try to navigate your way back to the rest of the group. What do you do?
Is there anything in this particular room that looks like it's worth anything. You know how some like lobbies have, fancy vases or whatever.
So the main treasure in this room was the
It was just the
the
spear,
statue
yeah.
and the spear. Yeah, yeah. There's really kind
Yeah.
of nothing else. So.
Um, so I came in through the back door and I got into here through the back door. So I think I'm just going to. What were the other galleries? They had a
The
bunch of
Hall
names.
of Plains and the Hall of Deserts.
I would like to go down the Hall of Plains just for a little peek.
The Hall of Plains is a large square room that has gray granite floors, and the wood in the room is light oak. The center of the room has a taxidermy display of a bison fighting a pack of hyenas. The walls are decorated with mounted trophies, slings, bows, and spears. What do you do?
I'd like to go and take a look at this wall of slings, bows, and spears because I just lost a fancy spear.
Indeed. Go ahead and make a hunt roll.
Hunt roll. 1.
You will encounter something terrible.
Luckily, I don't have any tokens, so I don't lose
You
any.
don't lose any. That's a good point, yeah. Guess it's good you spent them when you did. You are looking at the weapons, examining them. They're all just weapons. They're not, I mean, they're nice, but they're not like of any, there's nothing exceptional about any of it. It's all just a temple to killing, stalking. So, you don't look like much of a hunter.
Who's there?
You can turn to the voice to see a woman in an emerald gown approaching you. I am partial, myself, to the bow and arrow, though it's been years since I've used one to kill.
Well, I'm a pacifist myself.
She looks at your blood-stained clothing and she says, "Yes, I can see that."
Oh, that's not mine.
That's the point, dear, is that the blood is not yours.
And you are?
I'm a guest of the Marquess Niral. It seems like maybe you aren't.
Oh, I absolutely am. I just didn't know who you were.
Oh. And so you're going to be attending the feast then?
Perhaps, if I feel like it.
Well, we could be each other's dates. She puts her arm out.
I think I'm gonna do that thing where I look at the exits, try and see if I can get out faster, but I don't think it's really going to work. So I'll take her arm. Well, I suppose I will go to this feast.
Eventually, all four of you, and Nevin, and the Marquess, and this woman in Emerald, you will all, in your own time in different ways, but eventually at the same time, arrive in the central hall together. The Marquess says, "Evangeline, I see you've found a tender soul to accompany you to the feast."
Well, tender is a good way to say it.
My goodness, look at all these uninvited people in my home. Nevertheless, I believe in showing hospitality to whoever shows up to the doorstep.
In all fairness, it was supposed to be abandoned, was it not?
I never said such things.
Fair point.
That's just an assumption that you made. Just because we're here enjoying ourselves for 100+ years doesn't mean that it's abandoned. Doesn't mean, well, never mind all that. Let's go to the feast. He begins going upstairs.
Should I change?
He turns back and he says, it doesn't really matter.
Well, Nevin, lead the way.
Evangeline leans in and says, that's because all of our clothes end up on the cobblestones by the end of the night.
Oh, that kind of feast. Well. All right then.
I think as everyone starts walking up the stairs, Cassian's just kind of gonna put his arm across to bar Berwin, and he's not moving.
Yes, Mr. Cassian?
Don't think we should go.
No, I'm not really a fan of more than 3 people at a time in this sort of situation.
I wish I didn't have that image in my head. No, if they're all busy at the feast, that means more of the house is available to us.
Yes, of course. Well, here, and he'll reach out for Torum. Torum, good man.
Berwin.
This is Nevin, and he just puts Nevin's skull in his hand. Take good care of him. Show him the sights. Give him a good time. Cassie and I are going to go exploring.
Just then, a reveler with red hair comes out of the double doors and says, Marquess, hurry, hurry, we've been awaiting you. And he goes back inside.
I'm choosing to ignore that.
Are you attempting to make a fool of me, Berwin?
I would never do such a thing. Torum, you're my friend. You're breathing really heavily, by the way.
Did you get larger?
I do not think so.
No, I think at least a couple inches. At any rate, take care of Alina. Take care of Nevin. Good back, though.
Take care of yourself.
Yes, that too. Though I know that you're very capable of it.
Two of you, be careful. There are many more people here than we suspected, and they have a taste for the hunt.
There's one fewer. Let's go.
This is so exciting.
So it sounds like Alina and Torum are going to the feast then. Well, Cassian and Berwin, what are the two of you doing?
This might be a good opportunity to explore the upstairs.
Yeah. And there's also the other plane that we didn't go to, or the other wing that we didn't go to, the Hall of Plains, was it? Or the Hall of Desert?
Deserts.
But yeah, I'm down to explore wherever. Berwin is taking Cassian's lead on this.
Very well. Let's talk about the feast. The central hall is actually 3 staircases that come together. at the top to the entrance into a massive feasting hall. As you step inside, you see in the open rafters above candles dripping wax from their elaborate antler candelabra. Large wooden trestle tables are heaped with meats, breads, and vegetables. The many guests in attendance engage in boisterous conversation, filling the room with a roar of enjoyment. They wear fashionable, expensive, and functional hunting clothes, most of them. There is a perfectly normal number of people with red hair inside the feasting hall as well, for what it's worth. One end of the room has a small dais. No table stands on this dais, only an arched doorway, with the keystone carved in the shape of a snarling wolf, and you can see beyond the archway a curved staircase beyond it. There's a roar as you all enter the hall, as the attendees of the feast welcome you. A number of people invite you to join them at their tables. Alina and Torum, your guests kind of let you off to do your own thing. The Marquess has to keep his company. And Evangeline leans over and whispers to you. She says, I hope you have a ferocious appetite.
As it happens, I do, my lady.
Oh, she says that to Alina, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And they leave you to it. There is a table where the two of you have been invited to sit down and join in the feast. The two chairs are not next to each other.
I grab Torum's arm and lean in and say, don't you dare leave my side.
What is it that you fear, Alina?
These people are, well, I can imagine that they don't say all of their prayers to the saints as they should.
There is no saint for the sport of hunting.
Well, of course there's a saint for the sport of hunting, but not for this, you know? This.
I'm not sure I take your meaning.
Just don't leave me alone. That's all I need.
You can hear people chattering and talking, carrying on, toasting. Everyone's in really good spirits, laughing and talkative. There's one man at the table directly across from one of the empty chairs who has a heaping plate of meat in front of him, and he just sort of leans over it and as he shovels it into his mouth. At one point, a small mouse climbs onto the table and he scoops it up, dips it in gravy, just pops it in his mouth, barely notices what he's even doing. You overhear another conversation between a group of people at one end of the table. A red-headed woman telling a story. Now, the bounty was only enough for all of us if we brought him in alive. When we got upstairs, we found him all right, and the poor bastard was already running around on hooves. Well, there was no way to bring him in alive after that, but I could at least bring his head back. There was plenty of Nevin to go around, but not enough bounty, right? But, unfortunately, my companions were jumpy as deer by that point, and, well, they ran off and we had to leave him there. I wonder if he's still up there. Gosh, this must have been 50 years ago. And she kind of goes on at some length. Across the way in the feast hall, you can see that there is someone who is reading cards, a fortune teller. There's a line of people to reach it. Opposite end of that in the hall, there's a big pile of meat pies. People come by and grab a meat pie and tear into it. And of course, there's ale flowing. It's a happening. Alina, what do you do?
I'm very tempted to go and get my cards read. I know I have my destiny, but I'm not really sure where to go from here. So maybe a fortune teller would have some, advice.
Torum, what are you doing? Also, I'll tell you your set goal here is to enjoy the feast.
Priority number one is food.
They can definitely help you with that. Do you go for a meat pie?
Oh, yes.
It
And
smells
some ale.
wonderful. It is rich with gravy, bubbling out of the top. These must have just been taken out of an oven. You don't recall seeing a kitchen anywhere. Maybe it's deeper inside the manor, or maybe even in a separate building. Who knows? The hot water crust is warm and flaky. What do you do?
Take a hearty bite.
Indeed. You take a bite and you have to, it's delicious, but you have to fish something out of your gums. A splinter of some sort ends up being a fingernail clipping, actually. But don't let that spoil what was otherwise an incredibly delicious pie.
I think I turn to take a swill of ale and turn to one of the other revelers and say, what type of meat is in these pies?
And the reveler leans forward and says, what type of meat do you think?
Looking square in the eye and is this then what you hunt here?
This is the Marquess Niral. Will hunt anything capable of running away.
I see. I will turn to look for Alina, suddenly somewhat worried for her safety.
Cassian and Berwyn, are you going to continue search? You're going to search the upper floors, it sounds like.
I think so. That's my plan, at least.
Yeah, Berwyn is just following Cassian at this point. He already killed a man by mistake, so he's feeling unsure of himself.
Cassian, go ahead and just do a hunt roll. Tell me how you're searching, what you're doing.
I think I would like to try and avoid people again as much as we can. So, especially considering this has got to be somewhere that isn't going to be along a busy path. So, I would like to use my tracking skill.
Make a 2-die hunt roll.
A6.
Nice. Take your token. This upper floor is considerably smaller than the lower floors. There are just a couple of like interconnecting hallways on either side of the feast hall with some rooms. These rooms are little used compared to the lower floor ones. There are dust cloths dropped over a lot of the furniture as you kind of peek inside. Every now and then you hear you hear the sounds of exertion in some of the rooms, and you can avoid those if you'd like.
I think that would be wise.
And you're just kind of getting a lay of the place. What are you doing in the meantime, Berwin?
I mean, he's definitely following Kazian, but I think that he is keeping an ear out for anyone coming up the rear, make sure that like no one will catch them off guard. And he's keeping his eyes open for any kind of like, any kind of bookshelves or any kind of like anything that might represent, where a book might be.
You can go ahead and make the hunt roll. Do you have a skill there that's helping you?
Persistence.
What about items?
Twine? No. No. I've got some no, I don't have any items.
I think it's just a 1 die.
All right. Three.
A 3. You'll encounter something terrible in a moment. Alina, you are ushered to the front of the line as
That's right.
I think there's a lot of like, no, you go ahead, you're new. And they push you ahead to the front of the line of the fortune teller. The fortune teller she's dressed considerably more gaudily than everyone else, draped with veils, embroidered with stars and things. And she's doing 3-card fortune pulls using a deck of cards that's very common in the realm, each depicting one of the sisters. As you approach, she says, "Do you wish to consult the oracle?"
Well, yes. Why else would I be in the line?
Very well. And she spreads the cards in front of you. Draw 3.
I sit very like forward on my seat, just really trying to feel the energy of the cards, really try to connect with the sisters. And I draw 3 cards from various cuts of the deck.
The first card, roll a light die and a dark die, your physical dice if you have them, and tell me which one lands closest to you. The numbers and which one is closest to you.
4 light.
4. What are both numbers on both dice?
Oh, 6 on the dark, that was farther away. 4 on the light, that's closer.
The first card depicts Saint Soraya weaving a complicated pattern. The fortune teller says, "Yes, Saint Soraya. Saint Soraya augurs the presence of patterns, and more importantly, the need to recognize them. You have seen patterns even today, and they have led to interesting changes in your life. You will want to keep looking for those patterns." Draw the second card.
5 dark is closest, and 3 light is not.
Saint Kaledo, wearing a veil beneath which you can see her black lips, but reversed, indicating the need to remove a terrible rot.
I just did that.
Yes, this is the card that represents the present day. The present moment where you find yourself. Patterns have led you to this, the removal of a rot.
This is incredible.
Let us see what will happen at the end of your journey.
Five light is closest and 2 dark is further away.
Saint Ara the Torchbearer, holding her torch aloft. A source of wisdom? Perhaps the need to seek wisdom. In most spreads, it is an indication that one must look for the guiding light in their lives. But in this instance, I believe the card's presence is more literal. You must seek Saint Ara herself and beg her pardon.
Beg her pardon for what?
That's all then. Next.
Oh, really? That's it? There's nothing about grandeur or when I get back to Fort Durin.
She shuffles the cards together. She leans forward and she says, "You must not participate in the hunt."
What hunt?
Next.
Well, clearly you're misunderstanding something.
And now there's a surly line of people behind you ready to take their turn, ushering you off to the side.
But wait.
Exactly. You can find Torum at that point.
Torum, I just had the most unbelievable card reading. It was almost perfectly exact on. You really should try.
They are eating people, Alina. The pies.
You didn't have any, right?
I may have eaten a small amount.
Ugh.
We should find the others.
Well, I suppose we could
And
sneak
we
out.
should be careful that we do not become the object of their hunt.
Oh! The card reader told us not to get involved in the hunt. She's right again. She's incredible. You have to go see her.
I'm more concerned that we do not become the subject of the hunt.
Oh,
The
fine.
quarry.
Let's leave then.
Berwyn, you hear someone challenge you from the other end of the hall that you're currently navigating down. You! Yes, I thought I recognized you.
Me?
It's a young man, not as hirsute as some of the other people you've seen in the manor, but strong and strapping, wearing fine clothes. He marches toward you, and he says, "You think I'm going to let this go lightly? You have another thing coming.
Let what go lightly?
You besmirched my honor.
You had honor? I mean, what did I do?
Honor requires that you give me an opportunity to reclaim it.
I don't even know you.
A duel!
No. I'd rather not.
The man points at you. Cassian, you will be our witness.
No, Kazian. You don't have to let this happen.
You will
can
duel
step
me,
in.
or I will name you a coward, sir.
I'm fine with that.
Very much a coward.
Nevertheless. And he pulls out a pair of daggers And he hands one to you. We duel with daggers here.
I'm not gonna have to get naked for this, am I?
He's already undoing his shirt buttons when you say
God.
that.
By gods. Cassian, what do I do?
Win.
Fine, but I'm keeping my clothes on.
He says, you wish to remain clothed?
Preferably.
How you continue to spoil and stain all that is required in gentlemanly behavior. You, sir.
Yes.
Not you. You, sir, are not only a coward. You are a villain. A knave.
I've been called worse.
And it shall be celebrated across the land when I plunge my blade into your gullet.
What if we say that you won? And you could just tell people about me and your victory and how terrible I
Ever
am.
the cowardly knave, he says. At this point, he's got his shirt off. He's kicked off his boots.
No, I don't think I shall. And he's going to reach into his bag of the good stuff and try and like throw a circle of it in the air and create a circle ritual.
Very good. I like it. I think we'll end there with you fumbling around in your to try to create a ritual circle while this man disrobes, and Cassian looking on, I assume, with a look of exasperation on your face. And Alina and Torum enjoying the feast. Let's go to Stars and Wishes.
Yeah, I mean, this is my first time playing through this incursion, so I didn't know what to expect. But I'm getting very like in the company of wolves vibes, which is like one of my favorite movies as a kid. And so I'm loving the like feast and this house full of hot werewolf men. Berwin's terrified, but I'm thrilled. Um, Individually, I loved Alina's I love this confidence that she has in herself and this idea that she's a pacifist, even though she's willing to stab baby monsters if she needs to. And I love the description of you're finishing that beast off with like the the green sort of chlorophyll blood coming out and the plants sort of overtaking it and creating this, mound. I thought that was very evocative. Um, Kazian, always a good time. Love that you put up with Berwin's bullshit, but you don't take it. Um, and the dry delivery made everything feel like it made the contrast feel more enjoyable for me to play with, to play with. And yeah, Torum. I'm really excited. This is also kind of a wish for you to keep using yoke, so we can keep seeing you become more of a bull. I'm ready for Minotaur, Minotaur, if you will. And yeah, no, I loved I loved your reaction to finding out you were eating special meat pies. And then Jason, you made some really gnarly sounds this episode. There was that like I forget what it was. I think it had something to do with the little mound of evil children. But maybe it was I don't remember what it was, but it was incredibly disturbing. And also I love I don't know if it's in the incursion, but like the multiple redheaded hunters just popping out of places.
No, that was just
No, it was great. I love
yes,
that.
yeah.
It was great. And yeah, and I loved the interaction that you had with Amanda as this saint, who Alina managed to fuck over, but and also another star for you, Amanda, for the really clever way of returning her to her post via the spear. That's really fun.
I have very similar stars. I have stars for the interaction between Berwin and Nevin when Nevin was trying to stop buying, and just that whole interaction, those two people, and then afterwards when Nevin wouldn't say anything, and all the interactions with the skull, hilarious. That was so funny, and that goes right into the interactions between Berwin and Cassian through this whole thing. This where Cassian is just, I don't even know, like, has no real patience for Berwin, but also will not leave him alone because he'll get everyone into trouble. It's just really great character play, and I love seeing the interactions. I loved um, Berwin. Whenever you use your salt, I always think of that Salt Bay meme every single time. So that's kind of what I think of Berwin. Uh, when Cassian threw that shade at Alina, that was really funny. That was just out of nowhere. Like, let's go find everyone, but maybe not Alina. Who cares? that was great. I loved all the interactions that Torum was having, all the experience that he's having, where he's becoming more like a bull. Even that, Rob, you described one of the fights, one of the bits when you were fighting, and it sounded like you were fighting like a bullfighter. And I thought that was a really, really cool way of describing it, considering Torum is becoming this bull man. So that's great. The star for the gross baby monstrosity, that was horrifying. And star for pulling Saint Ara out of at the end in the card reading because of what Alina had done to Saint Ara. That was just pretty clever.
It was just the dice that did that.
For real? So I thought you did that.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
you
Thanks,
rolled
dice.
the Saint Ara card. Yeah.
Wow, that's lucky considering Alina has basically murdered Saint Ara. So
I know. Yeah, I thought that was
yeah,
really interesting. Yeah.
yeah. So you rolled with it really great. Yeah, this was a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see what happens in, what did you call it? Werewolf Fuck Mansion?
Werewolf Fuck Mansion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a great time. I really enjoyed getting to play up Torum's bull nature and lean into that more. Trying to think of some individual moments. I really enjoyed the card reading. That was like a real card reading. If the dice really did that to you, that's got to be fate, right? Yeah, that was cool, and I enjoyed the double act of Cassian and Berwin getting back together. So, and all of us almost getting back together for a little while at least. And yeah, I just want to give a special shout out for Jason's like goat noises, and those were on particularly good form today. Yeah, wishes. I want to figure out what Torum's going to do with Nevin. I think now that he has him.
My notes here started with Bawin, and then just the phrase coagulation of prepubescent anger roiling towards you. That was so good, Jason. That whole scene between Alina and the Saint was just perfect. So star for the both of you. And also Amanda, I think you're confused, Alina said to one of her gods. Just perfectly encapsulated so much about the character, and so good to see. And then obviously going on to maintain that you're actually a pacifist. I love it. I love Alina so much. Rob, Torum getting mad. I think that's the first time you've ever described Torum having like strong emotions like that. It was good, and also as you've made him more beast-like, I like the way you're putting it into the voice. Even it's so good. Berwin is a joy. I love that you're just going all in with the accent and the voice, and it's such a contrast between Cassian and Malkuth, and now Cassian and Berwin. It's so much fun. I am really was surprised that Berwyn just killed that guy. And I look forward to that being an issue.
That poor guy, he didn't do anything to you. He
I
even
didn't think
gave
he
you
was
the
dead.
knife. He gave you the knife.
He's gravely wounded.
Stars, this is a really fun session. We've in both sessions for the Huntsman's Manor, we've managed to really like do this interesting thing where we're kind of like smashing up different tones and different, almost like different fantasy subgenres. Like I feel like we're getting like for a while there we were like in 4 different modules basically, you know, and then 3 different modules. But it all kind of came together in that central hall again, which I liked. And yeah, I continue to, I really love all these characters. Even the 2 newer characters, like I feel like I have a really, really good sense of who they are and what motivates them, and I like the way that they're all characterized. And Berwyn is very fun. Like it's nice to have like a sort of comic relief character. I think that you want that in a bleak, dark setting like this, right? I continue to enjoy seeing this like kind of this transformation of Torum, which it's so intriguing because like it's really funny because in a lot of ways Torum is the most like cultured of you all, you know, and the most, you know, but he's also the one that's like quite literally turning into a beast, you know. Like I find that really intriguing. And I also continue to love all the accidental like Minotaur and Bull like references and things that happen. I think that's all really good fun. Cassian, I feel like we're getting it's really fun to see Cassian play the straight man to someone like Berwyn. Like I think that combination together is so good. And I could watch a TV show about Cassian and Berwyn. I think that would be loads of fun. But my biggest star is for the scene with Saint Evelyn and Alina. I really loved it. It was again, we were having a different module there, different adventure there. That was like some kind of weird, like, you know, horror thing that was going on there. But I created the Saint Evelyn character back in 2013 as part of a Dungeon World campaign. And so it's kind of fun to have her here and to reveal some of her history. And I like how Alina's like sort of obliviousness and blind, like kind of like zealotry sort of, you know, like kind of clouds that moment between them, which I think is really intriguing. And Amanda, I just really loved how you described like Alina's reactions and how you described the combat and like the actions you took. And I love, huge star for using the spear to put Saint Evelyn back on the tree. Love that. That was so good. So yeah, just that was a real highlight for me. My wishes, my main wish is I'm very curious to see what's going to happen between this person that thinks Berwyn offended him in some way. How that's going to resolve itself. I'm curious about the Marquess Niral and his intentions for you, if any. It's unclear if he even has any intentions for you. And of course, there's been made reference to the hunt, which I think is going to be a thing that happens at some point. I'm curious to see how that goes. So yeah, that's all I got. Any other stars or wishes?
Just a small wish, and maybe it's something that'll come up in Hearthfire, but I'd love to know more about Torum's beast-bitten backstory and see if like he's interested in trying to like reinforce the cure, or if he's just sort of like letting it take him over and like embracing that nature. Because like you said, he's the classiest one out of all of us. So curious if he's going to come down to our level.
I have a small wish too. I have played this module before, but only up until like the feast. So I don't know anything that comes after this. I'm really excited to just continue on, see what's going on.
You can actually do the feast really early. Like there's nothing to stop you from just going straight up the stairs and
I'm pretty sure that's what we did when I played it.
Yeah, I think if I hadn't been drawn toward that maze, that might have been how I would have gone about things.
Okay. Well, in that case, I think we're good to go. So I'm gonna wave goodbye to folks watching the video.